Welcome back, everybody, to the Draft Degenerates podcast, and we are finally doing a linebacker show. I know
Yeah.
it felt like we
The
might
month-long wait.
Literally, we might never do a ranking again, but we're doing it. This is the week. I promise we're not going to do a weird mock draft situation. Jake's also here, which is cool. Like that's awesome. So we're gonna have a good time, Dalton, Jake. We're finally gonna do linebackers.
Yeah.
A lot of I had fun for a minute, and then it got a little less fun over time, but it was still fun.
Yeah. I mean, at some point, you just start watching guys like there's 4 tiers in this class. So you have Sonny Styles, and then you have guys that.
Way to reveal number 1, Dalton, right off the bat. God damn it. Just kidding.
Sorry.
Yeah, just kidding.
So, wait, who's your number 1?
What? I had Owen Hunt. Sorry.
So you or I should just say Ohio State linebackers in general.
Depending on who you are. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you have guys that can be started like that should be like starters and possibly even like pretty good starters in some way, shape, or form. Not sure how it's going to look. And then you have guys that you hope can be competent starters, but at worst are going to be good backups and core special team players. Mm-hmm. And then you have guys that might be able to be good backups and special teamers.
Yeah, or fill some sort of role specific to your defense. Yeah.
Yeah.
I generally tend to agree. I assume, Jake, you kind of probably fall on the same line of like a couple of different tiers of guys and specifically those types of players, right? So, I think it's an overall better class than we normally get, especially obviously because the guys at the top, like that just kind of changes the math a little bit for the position. But it should be definitely a fun discussion. A couple things I want to start off with though before we get into that, not to delay talking about linebackers any longer than we already have. First of all, before we get into the actual thing that we talked about pre-show that we have to talk about because it is relevant to the draft, obviously, and it's a big thing today and has been for a little bit now. Shout out to the NFL Stock Exchange podcast for retweeting us last week or quote tweeting us last week. That was a lot of fun. Big fan of the show. Obviously, I'm part of the reason is I'm wearing the hat here that I got from them. I really like it for sure, guys. Shout out Connor, Trevor, Chef Cook, they call him over there, the producer there. Definitely appreciate that. But our actual point, though, what we want to talk about here for a minute, Dan Orlovsky, man. He loves himself some Ty Simpson, not Thai. Well, maybe Thai food too. I don't know. Actually, probably not with him. Just looking at him, I doubt it. Actually, just Ty Simpson. I think that he definitely loves him a lot more than most people seem to. He has him apparently as QB1 now all of a sudden, and has him clearly as a better player than Fernando Mendoza. And I don't know. What are we supposed to do with this? Like, I want to start with Dalton here because I feel like you had something you wanted to mention before we really get into this deep.
So, I mean, well, first of all, like on Simpson, like I've accidentally like rewatched him a lot just from watching all these defensive guys in the SEC. It's just a lot of rough stuff, but that's besides the point. I mean, at the end of the day, all this is we're at the point of the season where everyone's bored. People are just bored,
right.
And we're officially like we're a month away from the draft at this point. Everyone is out of things to say, and once you're out of things to say, you say things like this because what else are you going to talk about? And I will say this though: someone's watched a lot of Fernando Mendoza. I'm gonna be planning on watching him a lot more for the Raiders over the next few years. He is not good enough to like not get any speculation at all about who the number 1 pick is. Now, there's no other quarterback anywhere near him, to be very clear.
That's kind of the issue with the Dan Orlovsky stuff.
But like, I mean, he's not completely immune to criticism.
No.
The Dan Orlovsky stuff's kind of wild and like doesn't actually make any logical sense. Like, and then I don't know if it was him that said it or if it was Bucky Brooks that like chimed in on some of the stuff.
He actually
clutch him not like having any like clutch plays.
Orlovsky said that like 3 weeks ago, but it didn't really gain like traction.
Well,
Like I don't know.
Today on
blew up more
McAfee,
this
on
week.
Pat McAfee's show, he basically said that Mendoza didn't play in any big games or like didn't do anything in big games. I'm like he won the national championship. What do you mean? What do you mean he didn't play?
Yeah,
he didn't even say he played bad. He didn't play.
Mike Tannenbaum also said there's like multiple teams that he reached out to that said Simpson is better, which I don't think. Even if there was teams that said that, I don't think you can believe any of that right now because nobody's telling the truth about anything. But
it doesn't matter.
I can sort of see where Orlovsky is coming from the sense that like Mendoza ran not as much of an NFL offense, I guess you could say, like a lot of RPO stuff. Because when you watch Mendoza's film, it is a ton of RPO stuff. But with that said, like Simpson made some NFL throws, but I don't know. The fact that they're part of the same agency just kind of
that's
hard for me to ignore that part.
About,
I'm not going to get like too into that, but like I think that like it's hard for me to ignore that part. Just the clutch moments thing, I really don't get that.
It just feels icky. All of it does. Like none of this feels like good faith arguments for him. Like again, I've watched a lot of Ty Simpson as well, both through my initial watch of him and also just watching players in the SEC over time. And I'll be honest with you, like Dalton said, there's a lot of stuff that's just like I don't know if that works. Like he's just the profile overall is not someone who I feel like should be getting this much cope from someone. And this much like, oh, he's definitely the number one court. Like he's not very big. His arm is nothing special. He's a good, not great athlete. And he was banged up the entirety of the time, basically, that he was a starter for 1 year. This is not the profile, but even guys like Orlovsky, I feel like in the past have gravitated towards. And that's why this is weird for me. Because you can not like Mendoza that much. Like you can view him as a guy that maybe shouldn't be the first overall pick or wouldn't be in most years. And I think that's generally true, even if I like him a good bit. But to one question if he's better than Ty Simpson, I just don't see that. And again, everyone can say whatever, like they can see whatever they want and people see players differently. But if you're going to bet on someone in this class of quarterback, Mendoza has way more traits that translate than Simpson does. Yeah. And that's why it's really weird to me that Orlovsky is like really pounding the table for this when I just don't know why he feels the need to.
Yeah, no, he's literally been saying this for like he said it like twice over the last month, and for some it just didn't really catch traction the first.
I mean, he was building to it for a while because like he started out by saying, "I just started watching the Mendoza film, and so far, only a couple games in." It's not great. Like he has been like setting this up like he was gonna have some type of crazy take like this, and it's ridiculous. Like
it's fascinating. That's what I'm gonna go with for now.
Yeah.
But again, this is the time of year where that stuff starts happening. I will say, for the most part, a lot of the guys who are starting to gain more traction are guys that I already liked, which is kind of good for me until they're not good, unfortunately. Like a lot of people were coming out with a lot of Casey Concepcion support, which I appreciate. I was apparently like early to the bus and then got left behind on the Omar Cooper Jr. train. So that's funny, which I'd still, obviously like him a ton, but I think I've been left behind on that bus at this point. But like the Ty Simpson of it all, like the amount of times I'm like, people are like, oh, what if he's Brock Purdy? It's like, you don't draft the Brock Purdy profile in the first round, dude.
No.
You don't do that. You hope that he can be Brock Purdy in the sense that he's successful despite the problems that he has as a player. But you're not drafting a guy hoping he's Brock Purdy because that doesn't really work. That just doesn't really work most of the time. You usually get Case Keenum or something like that, which is like fine if you need a backup.
Honestly, here's a question: if Brock Purdy, like right now, like Brock Purdy, who he is right now, or even like Brock Purdy, knowing what he'll be. Brock Purdy as like a 23-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you pick him in this class?
That's really fun because I obviously a lot of that depends on how good my team is, but I still would prefer to take him in the back end of the first round compared to like a lot higher than that because I just don't know how good my team has to be for him to be successful because the Niners, despite even their issues last year, had the play caller and the talent to make it work for the most part. And even then, he still had some games where it's like, holy shit. Like the Panthers game that they still won because the Panthers are bad. that was one of the worst first halves of football I've ever seen from a quarterback, and it just didn't matter anyway.
And
So
that's
like,
with Kyle Shanahan.
Exactly. That's why I'm saying
Yeah.
like, you don't want to compare a prospect to like Purdy. The Purdy's of the world don't work out. There's a reason why it's so fascinating that he's worked out. Like it's not because like, oh man, like if even a guy that was taken the 7th round, if he was like big and relatively fast and had a good arm and just had other issues and he worked out, yeah, you would take that guy now that you know he worked. Purdy didn't have those traits. That's why he was taken where he was.
And I would argue that Purdy only worked on a rookie deal, and I'm kind of in the camp now. I'm a little bit of a Purdy hater, but I'm of the camp that the Niners will never get back to the Super Bowl with him as long as they're paying him top dollar.
I mean, it certainly doesn't help.
Yeah,
that's all I'll say about that.
It was definitely probably way more fun when he was on that rookie contract.
Yeah, you could really talk yourself into Brock Purdy on a rookie contract.
Yeah,
it's really it's harder to do it when he's making like $50 million, which like again, good for him. But yeah.
Hey, speaking of bad contracts, sorry.
Oh boy, here we go.
You guys see the extension Travis Kelce signed?
Okay, so apparently it's fake, really, for the most part.
Okay,
it's one of those bullshit
deals.
It's
probably one of those you can get.
It's a 1-year deal with 2 voidable years.
I think so. It's like basically they could just tear it up next year. Yeah.
Yeah. What was it like?
Just tear it up.
Million?
57 over 3 years.
Yeah, I saw that and I was like, wasn't this guy like contemplating retirement?
That's what. Yeah, that's why when I saw it, I'm like, that's gotta be.
He should retire.
Yeah.
No, it's probably one of those like.
It's one of those things where it helps them with the cap, and then it like if he doesn't play next year, it's just they can just be done with it. Or if he does play again after next year, they can just rework the contract, and it's the typical bullshit like cap gymnastics, ass pull things. Like
so much more sense.
Yeah, that's what it is. Like for sure, I saw that too. I'm like, that's a fake contract, right? Like you don't go from being like, I don't know if I'm playing next year. Like, oh yeah, 3 years, sign me up for $20 million a year almost. Holy shit. Anyway, who does this guy think he is? Trey McBride? Anyway.
All right.
That's
what people came for.
Let's get into the linebackers. So obviously we're going to start off with our honorable mentions. I have 2 guys in particular that I want to see if get brought up naturally or not. If not, then I'll make sure I talk about them because I have them as honorable mentions because I kind of feel like they need to play not exactly linebacker at the next level if they want to be successful. So I didn't want to rank them like in my top 10 linebackers, knowing that I don't really view them per se as linebackers. But Jake, actually, I want to start with the first guy you want to bring up that's not inside your top 10 here.
I'll bring up my number 11, which is Torian York.
Okay. He is just barely inside my top 10 at 9.
He's 10 for me.
Okay. 11, 9, 10, 11. We're already cooking, folks.
I know.
That's awesome. No,
well, he's a guy where there's some very clear reasons why some. Oh no, not the Collinsworth. His film is pretty fun to watch. Like you can tell when you watch him, he has instincts like someone with more experience than he has. He recognizes things well. Very fun to watch in coverage. He's good in zone. He's pretty smart. Good at reading the quarterback's eyes, and he's very quick. So he's able to really be a weapon in zone. He can go sideline to sideline with the speed. And his technique tackling is pretty solid. Like you don't really see him miss too many tackles, or there's not too many arm tacklers or anything like that. But I pushed him out of my top 10 just kind of concerns about his size and ability to play the run.
There it is. There it is.
Yeah, he's not very tall and he doesn't have long arms, so not a great combination, especially for a linebacker. It just kind of makes it harder for him to shed blocks. He just isn't super strong at the point of attack. Those just make me worry about him playing the run at the next level. Like I have no concerns about him in zone. He's got the quickness to be solid in man coverage, and he's good in zone. He has the smarts for it, but I don't know. He has good instincts against the run, and his technique tackling is good. I don't know how much he can overcome just the kind of physical concerns there. So I did like watching his film a lot, but that was kind of the reason he slipped out of my top 10.
Yeah. I want to let Dalton go next year, but I do want to just throw this out here because I think it's very apt for this player. You know that Jonah Hill Moneyball meme where he's talking to was it? I think Brad Pitt's the one that is the movie.
It's like his one downfall is
he's talking. He's like, all right, I got this linebacker. He's quick. He's fast. He has good coverage ability. He has good instincts. Tackles well despite not having longest arms. The problem is he's literally shorter and like he's shorter and weighs less than Saquon Barkley does. So like that's kind of the ultimate problem with York, and I feel like they'll have probably a very similar thought process on him.
Yeah, and like at 5'11", like he's not adding any mass to his frame. Like he is
maxed out.
Like he's
maxed
probably never gonna get, unless you get him like really even gassed to the gills, he might get up to 230.
Might, like, yeah, because he's about 226 right now.
Yeah. And then on top of that, missed tackle rate last year was still like 16%. Not ideal.
When you're that small, man, it's just it's tough. It's tough.
And like the coverage is good, but at his size, it's not good enough for him to be like a coverage specialist. And so like I think you're just kind of hoping he can be like an elite special teamer, and if like a bunch of guys get hurt, you can throw him out there and he might not get embarrassed. But that's kind of where you're at with him. He is a back 10 of your roster kind of guy, but you know, those guys got to eat too.
They do. Yeah. I have him as like kind of like a 4th to 5th round type of player, because I think worst case scenario with him, I think you get a guy that you could throw in sub packages to specifically play in kind of like a zone coverage, quarterback spy type of role. Yeah. And I also think he should be, with the way he plays, a very good special teamer for you. I think you should be able to do that really well. But ultimately, like you said, and kind of like what you both said, the size is just kind of hard to overcome whenever you aren't like a special athlete, especially, and you don't have like the ability to still play the run despite that size. Like, it's just hard, right? Like, I think it'd be really hard for him to play a full-time role in any defense realistically. Maybe if you get him with a group that just has monster D tackles that could just take up all the space in the world and like let him just run and chase, because I think he's good at that. But there's specifically, it was against Miami, which isn't very fair because Miami is obviously very good. But like, you're going to the NFL. He got absolutely dump trucked in the run game like 2 plays in a row. I remember specifically, and it was bad. He looked like he was just the smallest dude out there at times. It was not ideal, but he's definitely a fun player. But to drive it home, his height is 3rd percentile for the position. His weight is 8th percentile for the position, and his arm length is 1st percentile.
Yeah.
Like, they just don't make him small at this position a lot of the time. And it's just, again, it's tough, but what are you going to do?
One thing going for him, I forgot to mention, not going to be 21 until like beginning of rookie year, until like the summer.
He's a young, very smart player though too. Yeah. Like he's very, like, it's just the physical limitations with him. It just it sucks, because if you put this dude in a 6'3", 235-pound frame, he'd be probably linebacker too. Like, realistic, because it'd just be like, all right, that works. Sure. But it's just, he's not, unfortunately. Right. So that's just kind of, unfortunately, the name of the game sometimes. So that's just where we're at with it. But who would be your first honorable mention you want to bring up, Dalton?
So my number 11 is Bryce Betcher from Oregon.
Okay, he's 10 for me, actually.
There we go.
So that's pretty fun. Did you watch him, Jake?
Yeah, he was 13 for me.
13. Okay, so he's outside yours too. So you go ahead and start with him, Dalton, because I found him to be pretty interesting.
Yeah. So I mean, he is one of those guys. There's a few guys that kind of just look like they just really look the part as linebackers, and he's that he's that field general type, getting guys lined up correctly. Mm-hmm. He's a guy that I think will definitely be a contributor on special teams, especially given his tackling, tackling machine. But another undersized guy a little bit, and 6'1", 233. Again, his frame's probably pretty much maxed out. Also, what you're getting is what you're getting, because he's going to be 24 as a rookie, and
former baseball prospect too. Like, he's got that going for him. It's kind of weird.
Might be He might have a bigger future in baseball.
But he loves ball, Dalton. He loves
It's
ball.
tough. I mean,
That's never
would
what
you
you want to
rather?
That's never what you want to hear.
Would you
This
rather
is the
be
sad
like
version of Kyler Murray?
a fringe Major League Baseball player and get millions a year for 15 years, or cover kicks for 5 years and get CTE?
Well, I mean, when you put it that way, I think the problem is obviously making it to becoming a fringe minor league or even Major League Baseball player is really fucking hard.
Yeah, then
but it's
I
still
like
possible.
Better,
Yeah,
but you also have to like thug it out in the minor leagues for like 4 years.
you do got to thug it out in the minor leagues.
Yeah.
And he's already 24, so
he's probably the right move for him. But it
Yeah.
also is funny that he could have maybe just been like, I'm just going to play baseball until I can and see what happens. Like,
the quickness just really isn't there. That's probably the biggest thing with him. The quickness just doesn't show. And also, like, the angles he takes make it look way worse. Just really doesn't know where to go.
Ironic when you think about being an outfielder, but whatever.
Yeah. At his size too, he does get washed in the run game a fair amount.
He like never tackles someone and doesn't like give up at least a yard. Like he never. I feel like I'd never watch him.
Not a lot of popping them pads, is what you're saying.
Did you guys watch him against Penn State?
No, I didn't watch that one.
Him having to take on Vega.
Oh my god! Yeah,
I can imagine.
I'm glad I didn't watch that. I would have had to turn it off out of respect.
It's not fair.
No, it's
not fair.
I mean, that's kind of obviously being mean at that point. But,
it really is.
It's like that dude's going to do that to NFL players in like less than a year. So I don't know if I really care too much about that.
Yeah, but also just to show like, oh man, this is what he'll look like against like a big NFL guard. And it's like, oh no.
Yeah.
No,
I thought he was the last of like the true linebackers, because again the guys I have below him are guys who I think are like both I think could be better players than him ultimately, but just not as true linebackers. But I thought he was at least interesting. I think he could fill a role as like your fourth linebacker and like special teamer guy, and he can come in and like nobody's doing especially, which honestly I hate to say it, and this is part of why this class, even though we're not starting off super high on these guys, like it's just a tough position in the NFL, man. Like it's just if you can like sort of play and know what's going on, you're kind of better than like 50% of them sometimes. Like it's just kind of where we're at with it. And I think he has enough athleticism to like actually like be out there and not be embarrassed from that perspective. He just needs to clean up some stuff, like you said, with angles and trying to improve there. But so I'll start with I'm going to bring up two names because again I'm curious one if you have these guys in your top 10s or just have them on the fringe as well. My number 12 player, because I think he's even slightly less of a linebacker just because of the size, is Kyle Lewis out of Pitt. I think he is a slot defender. Like I think he's legitimately like you stick him as like an overhang / like not true slot corner, but like kind of that hybrid slot that we've been seeing really get popular in the NFL for a while now. I think that's where he's going to make his money in the NFL if he's going to be like a full-time player. I just don't know if the size and the run defense holds up as a true linebacker ultimately. Like that's kind of what I came away thinking. So
fair. He's 8 for me, but I do have him as more of like a star.
Right, like that exactly, star, like that type of position. And like I kind of can't decide if I want to classify that as a linebacker position or not, or if I want to slide it into like the slot defender category. So that's where I ultimately like when I do, because by the way, I'll mention this to you guys. I was going to do it after the show, but since we're talking about it, when we do corners next week, I want to do top 10 like actual like boundary corners ideally, and then 5 slot defender types that could be safeties or corners, like traditional safeties or corners. So he's probably going to end up being brought up in that conversation for me on top of today. But I get why you'd have him at 8 if you're categorizing him still as like a linebacker technically.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm like. I have a 4th round grade on him just because I don't know how you value that. But yeah, it's tough. How about you, Jake?
Where'd you have him? Yeah, where'd you have him, Jake?
He's 9 for me. So kind of similar to
that. Okay, so that makes me feel a little bit better that you guys aren't like, oh, he's number 5. I'm like, oh, fuck, I guess I'm an asshole because I like him, but just not necessarily like as a full-time, linebacker. And the other name, Deontay Lawson. Out of Alabama.
Oh, he's number 10 for me.
I have him at 11.
He is 9 for me.
Okay. So let's talk about Kyle Lewis a little bit first, though, because then all of our 9s and 10s will be done once we talk about.
Wow, look at that already.
Yeah, we got him out of the way. But again, I kind of said my piece on Lewis. Dalton, I think you had him. Who had him higher? You had him at 8. Dalton.
I had him at 8.
Yeah, he was 9 for me.
Yeah, so you talk about him first, then, Dalton.
So yeah, I think the coverage skills are very good.
Yes.
I did have him at 8. Lawson was my 10. I accidentally had 2 8s.
Okay, so Lawson is 10, and would Betcher be 9 then?
No, Betcher is like 12 then.
Oh,
York is 11. Yeah, there's somebody else between.
Okay.
Lewis and Lawson. We'll talk about him a little later. But Lewis, yeah, loved the coverage skills. Clearly, Pitt thought he was very good in coverage because they gave him all the assignments. I don't know if you guys watched him in Miami. It made the decision to have him cover Malachi Toney. Now, that was the wrong decision.
Yes, that was very mean to do to
fair amount. But again, he's a linebacker. He shouldn't be covering people like Malachi Toney, who's going to be a first-round pick very soon. In a few years.
That was just that was very mean, honestly.
Yeah.
I don't commend you for that. I give you 0 stars.
But he tried, and one of the plays where he got beat, he only got beat because his teammate ran into him.
The old Pitt experience.
Yeah. Yeah. But on top of the coverage skills, he does have the speed to be a really effective blitzer.
Yes.
I think that's something that he can do. And worst case scenario, you put him on special teams, he can be a freak.
Oh yeah, for sure. He'll play there. Bless you.
Bless you.
Double up.
Sorry.
Bless you again.
We get 3. Hopefully not.
The only thing is at 6 foot 220, really can't get him involved in the box too much.
Not really.
Yeah.
So that's going to be kind of limiting for him. That's kind of why I have a day 3 graded on him, because I don't know if he's a full-fledged 3-down linebacker.
Mm-hmm.
Also, there's still some misreads here and there. It's not as bad as it was, but you still see some misreads.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you see the misreads, especially against the RPOs. I saw a lot of those on film.
We'll see a little less of those in the NFL, but still,
Yeah. My real biggest concern with him is just kind of durability, especially against the run, which Dalton kind of touched on already. But he just, and it kind of sucks because he is able to shed blocks at times, and it looks like his technique is good. He's really good at slipping under blocks. But I just against NFL linemen, I'm a little worried. He's just not very big. But I do like him as a blitzer a lot. As Dalton mentioned, he has a lot of instincts. When he reads plays well, he's able to get there quickly and kind of fly the ball. He just doesn't read them well as consistently as I would hope. But he's very good in coverage. He's got good burst. He's quick in short areas. He can keep up with receivers. He just doesn't win a lot of blocks near the line of scrimmage. And I don't know. That's just for me. I like a lot of the tools he has, and he's really fun to watch. But that kind of a lot of the guys that I have lower on my list, that's kind of what dragged him down a little bit. But he's an interesting guy to watch.
Yeah. Again, for me, I think he's just a really hard player to categorize in this draft because there's a reason why ultimately he's a linebacker for me technically, but he's going to also show up in slot defender type roles because I think that's where he's going to make his mark in the NFL if he's going to become a semi at least full-time starter. It would have to be in that type of role. I don't think he's going to be a traditional linebacker. So, but he's a fun player for sure. And again, hopefully as long as they don't make him guard the other team's best receiver all the time, that would be pretty cool. Again, just very, very mean to do that to that man, but whatever. And then I also brought up Lawson. I'll talk about him for a second. It kind of not exactly the same way because I think he's a little bit more of a linebacker because he's a little bit bigger, especially taller. But I just, man, I see a lot of, and I don't want to helmet scout, but Christian Harris to him, where it's he's kind of only good at being a good athlete and playing in coverage. Sometimes he's good at that, and other times he's not. But he's not really like a guy that you want coming down to the box and like dealing with blockers. And it's just he's a really fun player to watch in coverage.
Yeah.
But I think he's only slightly more of a linebacker than Kyle is. Like it's kind of still the same thing. I'm like, should you maybe just lose like a few more pounds just to add a little bit more juice and just go full into being like that big slot defender star role that you're talking about, Dalton? Like, is that what he should do? Probably, if he wants to make a mark on defense, or he's going to end up being probably like a backup / special teamer guy. So.
Yeah, I mean the twitchiness is so cool.
Yeah, it's really cool.
And like I think you can talk yourself into, oh, he's 6'3", he can put on 50. He could easily add 15 pounds and be a solid linebacker. But it's also like, does he have the mentality for also the misreads, like with diagnosing the play? That's where like his twitchiness bites him in the ass so much because he's so quick and then. If he's on spot,
yeah,
off sometimes.
Yeah,
the potential of like the back end of this list, guys. He does have like I think one of the higher ceilings.
For sure,
definitely.
Where'd you have him?
Yeah, just Lawson was 10 for me.
10, okay, right.
As well.
Yeah, gotcha. He's definitely raw. Instincts against the run, as you guys mentioned, definitely are raw. His angles that he takes, like when he's in pursuit, another sign of like a raw player. Like he doesn't take consistently good angles. He loves to dive at ball carriers. Like he really loves to dive at their feet, which I don't understand. I mean, he's not the strongest guy, so
that's
kind of get that part of it.
He's just trying to trip dudes up because he knows he's not taking guys on. Like,
yeah, he's very like quick though. That helps him a lot in zone coverage. I feel like he'd be good in man coverage, but I feel like I didn't really see it that much on tape. Like
not a ton.
At least from the tape that I watched. But yeah, he also has a little bit of injury history too.
He does. He's an older player, I'm pretty sure too. I don't know how old he actually is. I didn't double check this, but he's been in college for at least 5 years, I think it was. So he's at least been around for a while.
Yeah.
I just feel like he's going to be a really good Madden user, probably.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
that's a good way to put it.
He's only
23. Okay, 20. Okay, that's not as bad. I thought he'd be closer to 20.
He's a young 23.
Okay, well, that's actually helpful for him then. But again, he's been around a long time and hasn't really developed a ton, it seems like, in terms of the instincts and the diagnosing what's going on in front of him. So I just wonder if maybe just simplify his role a little bit and try to go from there. But he's a player that could end up being a fun part of a defense, or again, at worst, I think he's a backup that can also give you some special teams value because he is a really good athlete. He can run around out there for you. So again, all of our number 10s have been discussed at this point. So I think, Dalton, you have a number 9 that you thought you revealed, but you didn't. So who's number 9 for you?
So yeah, I realized I had 2 8s, and that's
gotcha.
Threw everything up. My actual 9 is Harold Perkins.
Okay.
Okay.
So I didn't watch him because I think he's the least linebackery of all the guys that I was going to watch. So I chose to watch him at some point later. I don't really know what to categorize him as. I might watch him as a safety, technically. I don't know. I don't know if I love that. I'm really not sure what to do with him, but he's fucking fast. So that's cool.
Yeah.
But I don't want to obviously. Where did you have him, Jake?
He was 12 for me. He would have been an honorable mention.
Yeah. So Dalton, you go ahead and give your spiel because you're the one who actually has him in your rankings here.
So I just realized I didn't have a comp for him.
Okay. Is this the one you were talking about?
No.
Oh, okay. That's later. Okay.
No. Later on, no. This comp though is this might be mean.
Oh, no.
He kind of reminds me of one of the Griffin brothers. The one with one hand.
Yeah, I know. I knew which one you were talking about.
I think it's Shaquem.
Yeah, Shaquem Griffin. Yeah.
Good player, like good back end of the roster guy.
Yeah.
But it's just hard to see him being more than that.
Yeah.
Now it's so tricky, especially depending on what year of film you watch on first.
That's fair.
Because like early on, especially like the burst and the ball production, he's just a game wrecker. Then he tears his ACL in 2024, and he you can tell he just really hasn't fully recovered from that. And if he really never gets that burst back at the same level it was, it's hard to project what he's going to do, how much he's going to do at the next level, because at 6'1", 223, he's kind of a pure coverage linebacker, which if you're playing him in man, fantastic. He can still do that really, really well. I think most NFL tight ends, he'd be able to lock up. But if you put him in zone, he looks like he has never done it before. And I just don't get it. He is just lost. What is zone coverage?
He loves to just follow receivers that come in his zone, and then like once they leave his zone, he just still follows them. Like he
just vacates. I've seen enough of him. I didn't watch him for this, but the amount of times I've seen him just vacate his zone entirely, I'm like,
you have to just tell him like this is your man and just stick to him. Like
that would be the best thing, because like people will be like, oh, well, what about like man match? I'm like, that's not what we're talking about. That's not like we're not doing the zone matches. Like we're talking about like he literally just leaves it entirely wide open part of the field because he's not there. It's like, all right, man. Like,
I was watching Mansour Delane getting ready for like cornerbacks now, and there's a play against Alabama where Delane bails like into his deep third, thinking that this guy is gonna like on the dig route is just gonna run right into Perkins' zone, who's in like a deep middle of field zone. And Perkins just never sees him. Just never sees him. React at all. And it's like, if he actually is reading the play, he is stepping into a pick. Easy. And it's just rough sometimes. Like I think you can talk yourself into him getting his pre-2024 form back a little bit, and maybe there is like a star role or some type of like really specific role for him. And like worst case scenario, his freshman year, he was a freak on special teams. So like, I think for me, I have a 5th round grade on him. I think that's where you start pulling the trigger on a guy like him, where it's like, maybe we can get.
Why not? Why not?
After the 4th round, who cares?
Yeah. He's a good football player. Like I just have him a little lower as a linebacker, I guess.
Fair.
I don't. Some of the issues are just a little like hard for me to know. Like he's undersized, and he also like I feel like tackles high way too often, which I just think you can't do if you're undersized.
Correct.
He doesn't take the best angles in the run game. He kind of hard for him to get off blocks in the run game. And then there's, the zone coverage stuff. So that kind of has me lower on him as a linebacker. Although I do think in zone coverage, he's good. It's kind of a little close to man coverage, I guess. But when he's in cover 2 and he just takes the tight end, like if they run a seam route, he can do that. But that's
he can definitely run the pole. Like that's not really a problem. I think ultimately from what I've seen of him, again, I'm going to watch him at some point more in depth because I have to, because he's just interesting. I just, again, like, what position does he actually play? Like, is it even the star role? Because I don't know if he's necessarily good enough in some things to do that consistently.
He's like a Swiss Army knife type of guy, but like, there's not one real strong part.
That's the problem.
Him,
I will say, as far as the burst goes, now again, I didn't watch his like older tape. I didn't really get into him at any point, so I don't know exactly what he looked like in like 2023 and such. However, he did run a 4.38 at his pro day, so that's cool. Like, at least he's still fast for sure. That's positive. Now, if he ran like a 4.50, which is still really good for most linebackers, I'd be like, I don't know, you're 6'1", 223, and your whole thing is that you're kind of explosive. I don't know if that's quite enough for me. But like 4.38, that'll do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're talking about Shaquem Griffin. I think he's like a 4.39, so there's that.
Yeah. I think that sadly might be the count, but also worth noting, Shaquem Griffin did not have a long NFL career.
No, he was also like sort of also weirdly a pass rusher for a minute, kind of like Landry was early on too. I don't know what that was about, by the way. I saw someone tweet about like, or not Landry, Perkins. I remember someone tweeted like, if they would have just let Harold Perkins just stay at pass rusher, I'm like, pass rusher?
He did.
Yeah.
He was a devastating blitzer.
No, I know, but they were saying like edge rusher. I'm like, what?
Yeah, I mean, they did like have him do that stuff too.
Yeah, he's really good at he's good at finding like lanes to get in the backfield as a blitzer. Like he reads that really well.
Maybe he could just be like fast Ivan Pace. Maybe that's his role. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's a fun one though. I think the only one who hasn't said their number 8 as well at this point is me. I think.
I haven't done my 8 either.
Oh, you haven't done 8?
No.
Okay, who's your number
8? My 8 is Josiah Trotter.
Ooh. Okay.
Yeah.
I have him. I don't remember if I double check. Yeah, I have him at 4.
Ooh,
I know I'm a little lower on him.
Where do you have him at?
I have 6. I'm right with you guys.
We did this the 4-6-8. Hell yeah, dude. Love that. All the spectrums of this guy. I get why. I honestly can understand. I think I already know where Jake's going with his. And
I get the hype with him though. Like I get that too, because I mean,
I don't know if I'd call it so much hype for me as more so like he does something real good and that's it. And that might be enough.
Real good.
That might be enough.
He's fun to watch. Like he's just all energy all the time. I like him against the run. He has good instincts. He diagnoses things really well. Plays with a lot of physicality. He doesn't lose his leverage when he takes on blocks. But he has a lot of speed too. Like he has decent burst. He can close in quickly on the ball carrier. So all of that I like. I just think for me, a lot of his issues just come with him being raw. Like he's very young, so that's kind of
that's part of why he's higher for me. Yeah.
Yeah, but he just doesn't have a lot of awareness. Like he reads the run well, but he's not super good in zone. He doesn't really like locate receivers coming into his zone super well. He sometimes gets to his zones late. I thought on film. It just the only thing that I have like I like a lot of things he does. I just think he's super raw, and he's not very like he has solid burst and solid speed, but I don't think he changes direction very quickly. So that just kind of gives me a little bit of a concern in coverage because he's already not like super aware in zone coverage, and I just worry about him being able to change directions and move as quickly in short spaces. I get why a lot of people are hard on him though, because he is very young. And I think a lot of the things that he struggles with can be improved. Like he can develop more awareness as he gets more snaps and gets older, and he can recognize things in the passing game quicker. But I don't know. I find that I'm a little bit more worried about some of his weaknesses than others. So I guess that's why I'm a little lower, but I definitely understand like having him as high as 4 because I do see the potential there.
Yeah, I get it too. But Dalton, so you have him at 6, a little bit higher than Jake.
Yeah.
Still not as high as me. Go ahead.
See, I have a 3rd round grade on him. He's my like last day 2 guy.
Yeah, okay.
And like, I think to sum it up best, like a lot of what Jake said, I think at the end of the day, he's just pretty inconsistent with a lot of the linebacker things. I think there's a lot of potential. Like you can definitely see the vision, especially with him not being 21 until summer. I do like that he plays big, but then you also look and it's like, 6'2", 238 isn't like huge for someone that runs a 4.6.
Yeah.
Also, like those are kind of my concerns about how high the ceiling is. I think ultimately I project him as I think he's going to be a backup for a year or 2, and then he is going to be a average starting inside linebacker. I think that's kind of be where he is. I just don't know if his ceiling is anything above average. That's kind of why I have taking him. Like I'd have trouble taking him in the top like 75.
See, I get that. I think for me, ultimately, why he's at 4 is the combination of the potential with his age, and I think he has enough athletic traits where I'm not worried about him being unable to get better at some of the things he's struggling with versus like some of the guys that might not just have the juice to kind of get better at some of those things. More importantly for me, I think he's already getting close to being like a true like impactful first and second down player. And that's just something that is hard to find a lot of the time in the NFL now because so many of these guys are being brought in because they're good athletes and they're not necessarily guys who can actually like fill the run and make an impact there. I hope for him, like what I kind of am projecting him as and what I hope he can become is a Jordan Brooks type who just was an all-pro for the Dolphins. Like, not saying he's going to be an all-pro player, but like that's kind of that archetype of like you're not going to get a ton of coverage stuff from him. He's not going to be a huge impact. He's not going to be breaking up passes, intercepting passes, and all this stuff. But he's going to be a force in the run game. Like that's the hope you have for a player like this. If he doesn't quite hit that, I still think a starting caliber player who maybe isn't a guy you want covering your the best tight end that you're playing against or the best receiver, whatever. Like that's still fine. But I think he has the potential to get to that point where like he is a truly like impactful first and second down player and a passable third down one, which there's not even that many of those guys, unfortunately, in the NFL at this point. So I'm kind of banking on that being hopefully what he can accomplish with his ceiling. So
yeah,
that's fair.
Yeah, but I have then my number 8 guy to say then too. So this is an interesting one because I could see this player being outside of your top 10s, or I could see him being even higher for some of you. Aiden Fisher out of Indiana is my number 8 player.
I did not watch him.
Okay. Jake, did you watch
I
him?
watched a little bit of him,
Okay.
but not a ton. But he wasn't in my top 10.
Gotcha. Okay. So I was surprised that I ended up liking him as much as I did. Now, he's still number 8 for me. He's a day 3 player. Like I would say like 4th round grade again for where I'm at with him. But he's a little bit better of an athlete than I assumed he would be based on his profile, where he is a little bit of an older player and more of that like true like captain of the defense types, because we've seen a bunch of those dudes who are like the, oh, he's been here forever and he's real experienced and he's the guy on defense, but like he's not really, like he's just kind of the guy that sets everything up. He is that guy for Indiana. He was, but he is a better player than I expected him to be in terms of his athleticism. I think that's kind of what allowed him to creep up into this range versus being outside my top 10. He was able to actually run and kind of get back and cover 2 more than I would have thought, especially Tampa 2 specifically. Like that was something that I saw multiple times, especially against Oregon. I'm like, okay, well, if you can do it against Oregon, then hey, how am I going to tell you can't do it in the NFL? Because that's as good a competition you're going to get trying to do that at college level. He's really instinctful against the run. He's not a big guy. He's about 6'1", 232, so another one of these smaller players. But he plays physically. Like he runs all over the place. Like he's constantly involved in the play. He had a really nice play against Oregon where he was able to drop back, kind of take away a throw, and then creep up and then sack Dante Moore. Like really good play from a linebacker, the type that you want to see for a guy that's the quarterback scrambling out, force him into a decision, take away a throw, then get him. Like that type of stuff kept showing up for me when I'd watch him. I still think he's probably like ideally your third linebacker, a guy that can kind of come in and be the run stopper / like guy that sets the defense up if your starter goes down. But I could also see him being like a really quality linebacker too, if you have a guy that can kind of handle all the harder assignments as linebacker, especially. So that's ultimately what I landed with him.
That makes sense. He's I watched like a little bit of him. I need to watch more. But he is a really smart player. Like he understands.
That was the biggest thing. He's very
well.
aware of what's
both
going
in the
on,
run and the pass. Like he knows what he's supposed to be doing out there.
Yeah.
And I think his technique is good in a lot of what he does. Like his tackling technique is good. He never has like a super high pad level. Yeah. There's not like a bunch of arm tackles. I just think the reason that I have him outside of my top 10 is he's kind of on the smaller side. I don't think he's gonna.
Yeah, he's not a big player. Yeah.
And it's easier for me to deal with that if I was more comfortable with his athleticism. Like
he was a little bit more athletic than I thought he would be, which is probably why
he goes pretty fast if he can just come downhill. Like if he's blitzing or playing the run, he's pretty quick there. But I think his hips are kind of tight. I don't think he's athletic enough in coverage for me to be as comfortable with the lack of size. But I got to watch him more still. But he's a super smart player with good technique. I just think there's like some strength and athletic limitations there.
Yeah, I think ideally he's a guy that you don't really ask to do a lot of man coverage assignments, basically. I think in zone, he's really good. He understands. He looks for keys. He can come down on players on underneath routes when he sees they're open and can take care of the ball carrier. Like it's whenever he starts having to like truly run like down the field with somebody, like he can get to his spot pretty well, but then once he actually has to like try to deal with cuts and trying to match guys and routes, it just doesn't really work for him with his athleticism. So I get that for sure. It's why he still is probably a backup linebacker if I had to guess, like where he'll kind of slot in at. But it's enough in this class to get him to number 8. Let's go to Dalton here for his number 7 then.
So for my number 7, I have Jake Golday from Cincinnati.
Okay, I have him at 6.
Okay. Yeah, he's 6 for me also.
Okay. Well, that takes care of 6.
Yeah.
So he's 7 for you, Dalton. You go ahead and start with him there.
So he's weird build.
Weird player.
Yeah. 6'4", 240. And like there was a question of what is he? Is he a linebacker or is he an edge? And because he played on the edge a lot.
He also played in the slot a lot.
Yeah.
Which was
probably shouldn't do that in the NFL.
Well, I'll talk about that when I get to him. I just want to note that. Yeah.
Like he'll cover bigger tight ends. And ultimately I think his role is I think he needs to put on about 5'10" pounds to do this, just because how tall he is. But I think he could be a very good Sam linebacker at the next level. That's where I think the potential is for him. I have a 4th round grade on him because right now I think he's probably more of a backup, just because the long speed's not great, and the reactions aren't the best. But I mean, he's got a good burst in the short area. I think you can move him around a lot and deploy him as a pass rusher. Despite how skinny he is, he's really strong. The functional strength shows up on tape, so I think you can stick him on the edge at times. And I think you can get creative with him. There's a lot of potential. Day one, I just don't know what you do with him.
He's just, Jake, I don't know if you had the same feeling. He's just a weird player. Like, what was Cincinnati? What was their plan for what was going on? Like he played almost as many snaps in the line of technically as a slot as he did an actual linebacker.
Their defense was weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I get kind of why they had him in the slot at times because he's very he can move. Like he moves smoothly. Like his hips are smooth. He's got impressive speed. But I don't know why he was there so much. I kept seeing that on tape and I was like, why? Like, am I like evaluating? There was a time I thought I was like, is he actually like a linebacker or am I like evaluating somebody else right now?
You see big number 11 out there in a slot. You're like, what the fuck?
Or, because this is what Cincinnati's defense was. It was, we're going to put this one giant boulder in the middle of the defense and have him just occupy 2 or 3 guys in Corleone. And then it's just the front 7 is just 6 other guys moving around frantically doing God knows
pretty
what.
Much.
Yeah.
They just keep shifting around.
He's a player that like I think everything he does, like a lot of things I think he does well is when he doesn't really have to think. Like like when I feel like that sounds mean, but like the more he has to use his brain sometimes, the more I think things go a little bit awry in the sense of like he's not super aware in zone. He doesn't really like adjust to like more complex route concepts and coverage. I feel like he gets his eyes just like locked on in the backfield too many times. And the instincts I think they're a little better in the run game, but they're not that great. I just don't think he really is able to process things super quickly. And that could be something that comes with more playing time. It definitely can be like improved and you can get more comfortable. And it also could be part of the fact that he was kind of moving around so much where just kind of less time to build consistency in certain areas. But all the things like he's athletic enough. He has good speed. He has good strength. He's pretty solid at shedding blocks, I think. He's good with his hands in coverage. And he tackles well. Like, he doesn't miss a lot of tackles. So all like those physical and athletic things where you can just do something and not have to think about it, I really like all of that. I just think he's got to – I don't know if it's a thing where he needs to get more snaps or what, but I just think the mental part of his game is just lagging a little bit. But if he could put that all together, I would be higher on him. That was kind of why I had him at 6. I mean, we're all kind of in the same spot. But
yeah, we are. And, like, he's a really tough one because, again, like, he didn't play a position that makes sense to me. Like, he didn't play like an actual linebacker a ton in the grand scheme of things. Like, he did, but he also didn't. And he's not going to be used the same way in the NFL, so it's kind of a tough evaluation. But, like, the size, the athleticism is there. I think he has the ability, like, just from a physical standpoint, to be a 3-down player. But kind of like you said, Jake, like, there was a lot of times where he'd be in zone coverage and there'd be a play happening, like, right behind him, and he had no idea that it was happening. And I'm like, all right, like, it's just if he puts his hands up, he's knocking the ball down at least, like, but he has no idea the ball is going there. And I'm like, all right, like, and I get it. Like, it's hard for me to be like, oh yeah, the dude who's playing like 200 something snaps as technically a slot receiver when he's 6'4", 240 pounds. Hey, get your hands up, learn how to play coverage. Like, yeah, it's probably not an ideal position to be playing coverage from, but it's still just like I'd like to see a little bit more from him in that way. And he's just kind of, in general, pretty raw at a lot of things, and that's what happens when you play this type of role, I guess, to be fair. I think a team is going to take him relatively high from what I've heard with him. I think he's definitely a day 2 player for me, though, probably mid-day 2, like somewhere in that range. A fun player, but a one that's definitely flawed for maybe some reasons that aren't necessarily all his own fault. So,
yeah, I think, like Jake mentioned, like, smart or not very like smart, not having good instincts. Those are not the qualities you want.
Not what you want
for a linebacker. I think for sure we can all agree, not a Mike.
No, not a Mike linebacker.
Mm-mm.
Absolutely not.
Not a Mike.
No, should not be doing that. No, at least not right now for sure.
Keep the green dot far, far away from him.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to comp him. I kind of wanted to comp him to like a less like instinctful like Peyton Wilson, as someone who watches Steelers, like his big time athletes, and I think Wilson's a better athlete than him, but still like that same like big, tall, long, strong, but like sometimes doesn't know what's going on in the runner pass game. But
sometimes just see. I was going to comp him to a former Steeler, a Landon Roberts. But
you see, the problem with Landon Roberts is like 4 inches shorter, like 5 pounds heavier, and can't do anything when his jersey's like facing the offensive line. Can't do it. Like, cannot do it. If you can see the back of Landon Roberts' head, it's already over. The play's over, man.
Yeah,
like, it's over. We're getting a seam ball, bro. No, anyway. Real quick, we have a chat here. And I checked this. This is a real thing. I thought they were messing with me for a second. From Unleashed 5335.
I could not find these guys anywhere.
They're Fair State. They're from Fair State. The Tim and Bob Anderson, Tim Bob, they call them. Literally, it's what they call these two. Apparently, he wants some new Raiders. So, just want to throw it out there, dog. Maybe take.
What school do they go to?
Fair State.
Okay, I'll actually watch them.
I might be able to watch them too. Actually, we'll see.
Yeah.
Just for fun, might have to do it. I just thought that was a fun chat. Anyway,
I like the Tim Bob name. That's kind of
Tim Bob.
Yeah.
That would definitely. Apparently, they play next to each other. I think one is a left tackle and left guard. I want to say, maybe it's right tackle.
Oh, I kind of love that.
Yeah, bring them in together, see what happens. Like
shout out to Shane for knowing that.
Yeah, it took me 5 seconds to find out. Anyway,
I was looking for him for a minute, but I mean, I was just looking on the PFF board just because I had.
You won't find him there, brother.
I did not find him.
They're not on there. You will not find Tim Bob on the film.
No, that goes like 400 deep, and I was like, "Oh, I don't see him."
Maybe you might be able to find him, and now I have to find out real quick. You might be able to find him on Mock Draft Database. I could see that because they go pretty deep, but now I need to find out. Consensus board. Let's just go to. Let's do offensive tackle. Fair State. Come on. Boo. I don't see him. Anyway, point is we'll have to find him. Apparently, they had a good pro day. I could not find. I could not find pro day results for Ferris State. Not that I'm surprised about.
Oh, they're a D2 school.
Yes, they're a D2 school. Yeah,
D2 national powerhouse.
Yeah.
Oh, is that them?
Yeah, that's where Shambles
Okay,
went.
I didn't realize. Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
I didn't realize they were the.
Gonna have to check that out at some point. Anyway, let's move on to. I believe we are up to numbers. Both of our number 7 still, Jake. I think.
Yeah.
So you go ahead here.
Okay. I think I might be a little higher on this guy than at least I've seen elsewhere, but I have Jason Barham at number.
Okay, so 7. I didn't watch him because I plan to watch him for Edge.
Yeah,
when I go back through my rankings. So I didn't watch him yet, but I am curious what you think about him because I haven't watched him at all yet. Did you have him anywhere, Dalton? Did you have him as an Edge too?
Who is it? Jason
Barham, the other Michigan.
He played for Michigan.
No, I did not watch him.
Okay.
Yeah, he spent a lot more time at Edge in 2025. So
yeah.
And that is a spot I actually could see him doing well at in the NFL, but I don't know because some of his. I'm just really high on the things he does well because some of his weaknesses are definitely questionable, but statistically, he was able to get in the backfield a lot more often, which is partly because he spent a lot more time at Edge. But big jump in tackles for loss last year. He's very strong and he's very quick off the line, both if he's coming downhill from like a linebacker position or just coming off the edge. He's always like. There's so many times on film where he's just 2 hands straight into an offensive lineman and just jolting them back. He processes things well, whether it be screens or kind of run schemes in front of him. He's just a really good run defender. Like I think whether he's playing linebacker or on the edge, I think he'll play the run well. High motor, good effort every play. He moves pretty quick if he's going in a straight line. And he kind of can. Another one of those guys who can play a lot of different places on the defense. Like if you watch his film, he plays inside linebacker. He'll play outside. He even gets a couple snaps, which I don't know if I agree with it too much, but he had a couple snaps at nickel that I watched on film.
What an interesting position to put that guy in.
He played edge, nickel, and it was only a couple snaps, but I was just like, there was one game he played like middle linebacker, edge, and nickel all in the same game. So he probably not going to be a nickel guy in the NFL, but he plays the run really well. He's very strong, very powerful, and he has a really good burst, like closing burst and burst off the line. And he can change direction quickly. So I have faith for him in man or just coverage in general, but that is one of the problems with him. Just not very good in pass coverage. Like if he's in zone and he's in his own space and there's a receiver that puts a double move on him, he's not gonna do too well there, which I really don't understand because I think he has the athleticism for it. Like he can change direction decently quickly. Sometimes he gets a little too aggressive. Like he's kind of has a frantic playing style. I think his stuff with the pass defense, I think can be improved though, because he's pretty smart at a lot of things. Like I think he can start to understand things better. And I think with his athleticism, I think he's athletic enough to be good in pass defense. So that's why I'm a little higher on him. But I know for a fact he'll be a good run defender and that'll get him on the field quickly. And then the last thing that I had for a concern for him was he definitely will lose his cool at times. He headbutted a ref against Ohio State last year. Somehow did not get ejected. He headbutted a ref.
That's sick.
In the game.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
and I got away with it.
He's gonna get some 15-yard on sportsman likes. So that's another thing that I noted for him. But
some teams might have plus.
Yeah, yeah. Some teams. Yeah, I get the edge thing because he spent way more time there in 2025, and that actually might minimize some of his concerns. Just having him be closer to the line of scrimmage,
right?
But I think I'm a little higher on him, but I just think some of his faults are more workable, and I think like at the bottom line, he's going to come into the league and be a stout run defender, like at the very least.
Gotcha. Yeah. I'm going to be curious how I feel about him in terms of what position I think he should play when I get to him. I'm going to watch him as an edge because that's where he's obviously listed this year. But I wonder if I'll come away with a situation where I might have him more as an off-ball player when we get to it. So, interesting. So I think I just have my number 7 before we get into our top 5s minus me having Trotter at 4 that we have left to do. So I'm assuming this guy is going to be in both your top 5s. It'd be kind of crazy if he wasn't. And I don't blame you for having him a little bit higher than me because there's kind of like a tier situation happening right now when we get to this point, at least for me. I have at number 7, Anthony Hill Jr. out of Texas is my number 7.
Okay. He's 4 for me.
Okay. He's 4 for me as well. I was worried I was kind of low on him, so I'm feeling good that you're having him there.
Don't worry, Dalton. I'll always be lower on some. No, I'm just kidding. But no, I like him a good bit. I feel like ultimately, because we can get into the Trotter versus him because there's a lot of people that kind of have those two in similar ranges, and kind of one person will have him over Trotter and others will have Trotter over him like I do. I think ultimately both of them are very raw in coverage and have issues in coverage, but for different reasons to me. Whereas I think Hill is a better athlete for sure, but I don't think he's quite as good against the run right now, or will be quite as good against the run as Trotter is. And I feel like versus Trotter, where I already know, at least in my opinion, that he's going to be a really good run defender, the NFL level, if nothing else. I'm not 100% sold on that with Hill, and I don't know necessarily that his coverage is going to get so much better than where it is right now versus where Trotter ends up, but I think it makes the difference up, basically. It's kind of the ultimate thing with him. And he ended up just falling a little bit below even like Golday, because I think he's a guy that I wanted to flip those two, but I'm like, I see a lot of potential in what Golday could be if they actually play him as an actual linebacker somewhere. Whereas like with Hill, I kind of know what I think I might be getting, just with some athletic potential to kind of upgrade him eventually, hopefully. So that's ultimately where I kind of landed with him.
Yeah. That's kind of it's interesting you mentioned comparing to Trotter. It's funny, they're the exact same size, 6'2", 238.
Yeah, but
Trotter just plays bigger. Like
yes, he does.
Like if
definitely.
If you know their size, you would assume Trotter is bigger, especially against the run. That's a good point. I think for me, the reason why I have Hill higher is I just think Hill's a little bit more further along development wise, and his instincts, especially. I'd feel more comfortable like him being like my Mike linebacker tomorrow on an NFL field. Also, the ball production is just kind of special with Hill. Makes a lot of plays happen. Just got a really good nose for the ball. But I mean, a little clunky in coverage is kind of the big concern with him. But I mean, I think you kind of hope that you surround him with enough people where he's not necessarily covering like where he's covering maybe the fourth option a lot of times.
Yeah.
And I think he'll be okay. Especially like when you figure, I think while like up the middle against the run, he, I think needs to get a little stronger to be able to really take on guards head on. But sideline to sideline, he's just going to make a ton of tackles, and he's also a lot of fumbles. I think that's kind of like what excites me about him.
Yeah, he is a big time like run and chase guy for sure. Yeah. Like whereas I think Trotter is more of a like tried and true like physical impact run defender. I think Hill is more of that run and chase, like eliminate stuff type of linebacker. So again, you could honestly argue for either one. Like I'm gonna have less than a round grade of separation between those two. Like I think I ultimately ended up with Hills being like a late day 2, whereas I have Trotter as like a mid day 2. So it's kind of in that same range of like it kind of depends on what you prioritize there.
Yeah,
honestly,
that's
too.
Where I'm at. Yeah, I have a second round grade on Hill, third on Trotter. So
yeah,
so it's
with you. We're kind of flip flopped them. Yeah. What about you, Jake? Then.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same as Dalton. I think I'm a little higher on Hill, mostly for the mental aspect of things. Like, especially against the run, I think he diagnoses things really well and very quickly. He's against the run, he's almost always just in the right spot. The I would like to see him shed blocks better, like that.
Yeah,
that it is a concern for me in the run game just a little bit. He doesn't really shed them consistently. And he doesn't bring quite as much pop Like he's another guy where I feel like a lot of the time on film you watch him make tackles but lose a yard or two during the tackle. So I'd like to see those improve, but he moves really well. He's got good lateral quickness, and he moves across the field well. His tackling, except for his pad level, I think is a little high sometimes. But other than that, the rest of his tackling technique is good. There's no real arm tackles. He has long arms, so that makes it easier. But yeah, I think those kind of things just put him a little higher than Trotter for me. But yeah, just it's close. But yeah, that's why he's a little higher.
Understandable. Again, good player. I just wonder again, like what ultimately is he going to be best at in the NFL? Like if he's not going to be, in my opinion, like a super impactful run defender, at least in terms of actually like blowing up runs, creating negatives in that way, can you be a good enough run and chase guy and a good enough coverage player to kind of make up for some of that? Versus whereas with Trotter, at least I'm hoping, and my comp for him is Jordan Brooks. I hope he can be that type of run defender. That will make him very valuable regardless of how good his coverage gets, honestly. So, but yeah, let's get to number 5 because all of us still have our number 5 to talk about. So this is either going to be we're going to line up or shit's going to get weird, and I'm down for either one. So let's go. Actually, I want to let Dalton go here at 5 first here.
All right, so my number 5, I'm very curious if we all have the same 5. Jacob Rodriguez, Texas Tech.
Jake?
I believe I got to check my list real quick. He's 3 for me.
Okay, he's 3 for me too.
Ooh, so I'm a little lower on him. So okay. I think for me, I mean the speed was better than I expected.
Yes.
I still don't see it on tape as much, but I mean he makes plays. He makes a lot of tackles. The ball production's fantastic.
A little bit.
Very good zone coverage instincts as well, and hustle. For me, there was a play against Arizona State where to run to the outside, and he is in no man's land against a pulling guard. And it's like, all right, well, we're fucked here from a defensive perspective. But he somehow manages to like reset the edge on the guard, force the run back inside, and then actually spins back inside off of the guard and like starts the tackle. He doesn't finish it. Their linebacker comes in to clean it up. But like just a ridiculous hustle play. And like that's the kind of stuff you're getting from him. And that's why I do think like he is gonna be at least a reliable NFL linebacker in some way. I think for me, the reason why I'm a little lower, I have an early 3rd round grade on him, is limited ceiling. Going to be 24 as a rookie, little undersized, 6'1", 231. And the big thing for me is while he did make a lot of tackles, also missed a lot of tackles. 17.5% missed tackle rate last year. Not ideal for like your main like off-ball linebacker in your defense. Like that's the guy that you want being probably your most sure tackler. So that's kind of where it's a little tricky for me, but pretty much everybody, he's very much in that second tier of linebackers for me, where I think he'll be a starter, a quality starter. Is just the ceiling's limited.
Yeah. The shorter arms, I think, help or not help. Obviously, hurt him a lot in those missed tackles, and he's not the strongest player. So that is if your defense already missed a lot of tackles last year, I don't know if it's the perfect addition, but I mean, for the most part, like I think he's really good against the run. Like he diagnoses things really quickly. One of the things I really liked about him on film is he always puts himself like in front of the running back. Like he's good at tracking the ball carrier through like congestion. He doesn't get lost there. He moves pretty well laterally. I think like he does miss a lot of tackles, but when I watch him, I don't see any like glaring issues with his technique. Like he at least tries to wrap up. He does. It's not like he's tackling high. I think it's really just a combination of kind of having shorter arms and not being the strongest guy. He does have a lot of like statistical production. Like he has 13 forced fumbles in his career, so that is something you like. He's really good at. Yeah.
So
no, he knocks the ball out of there.
He do.
Yeah.
I have two fun comps for him, by the way. We'll get to whenever it's my turn, but I just wanted to throw it. Yeah, go ahead.
Do you guys?
Yeah.
think
No, he. Oh, what's up?
Sorry, you just mentioned the forced fumbles. Do you guys think that could be contributing to the missed tackle rate a little bit? Him trying to jar the ball loose a little bit.
I could see that, yeah.
A little bit, but I do think it ultimately is like I think he sometimes just kind of really tries to go for it and like hammer somebody, and he just doesn't have the length to wrap up consistently when he misses those. He's gonna be very much a playmaking linebacker in a lot of ways, and I'll get to that in a minute. But go ahead, Jake.
Yeah. No, that's pretty much about it. I have a few concerns for him a little bit in coverage. Like I think sometimes in zone he's not really aware of his surroundings. And his speed isn't that great. I think he was one of the guys that ran fast at the combine, if I remember correctly. But I thought it on film it wasn't that great. So maybe I was just evaluating that wrong. But he has good ball skills. Like he as Shane said, he definitely is like a playmaking linebacker. Like he'll force fumbles, he can get interceptions, and he understands the game when it comes to like defending the run. And so I think those are all reasons I'm a little bit higher on him, but
yeah. So for me, he has a late first is where I'm at with him, because I think he has one of the highest floors of the group, because I think I know exactly what he is as a player, and that is a true like playmaking, like middle of the defense linebacker type. And I think there's two players that come to mind with him. And I think he's a little bit slower than my first comp overall in terms of his burst and his overall speed, even though they tested pretty similar, but a similar player otherwise. And then also in terms of the playmaking and the way he wins as a linebacker, more so for my second comp. First comp, Blake Cashman, who, when he's been healthy, a very, very good NFL linebacker. Really doing a lot of good stuff for the Vikings right now. Did good stuff for the Texans before that. I think he's a really, really good linebacker. I think he's very similar to him in a lot of ways. He's not quite as long, not quite as explosive as him, but a very similar type of player there. And this is the one where if he were to hit this, which I'm not predicting because this guy admittedly had an insane peak and then immediately fell off and basically did nothing after he was like 27, Darius Leonard, who, if we all remember, basically forced 8 turnovers a year for like 4 straight years, was an all-pro like 3 straight times because he kept doing that every year. Am I saying that he's going to do that at the NFL level? It's hard to suggest anyone's going to do that because it's insane. Like, look up Darius Leonard's numbers, and you tell me that that isn't one of the wildest like 4-year stretches the players ever had at the linebacker position. But that's also kind of the hope, is that he's a true like playmaking linebacker, like ball production, interceptions, fumbles, being in the right place, all that good stuff. If he can do that, even if he isn't necessarily like the biggest guy or the most explosive guy in the world, he will have very, very high value for whoever ends up taking him. And I have a feeling he's going to creep up into early day 2 at the latest, honestly, because he at least tested like a better athlete than maybe people expected him to, and that checked the box. Like, it's in there. And I'll admit, like, there's flashes of it on film where I think when he's super confident about what he's seeing and he triggers, you can see that speed and that burst show up a little bit more. But I think a lot of the time he's kind of not necessarily slow playing it, but trying to kind of be methodical about what he's doing more so than just being like full on attack mode sometimes, which you wouldn't necessarily think with the way he plays all the time, but it is in there sometimes. I think I've seen flashes of it. So I'm definitely very high on him. Very, very glad I was able to watch him after he tested, because I might have been able to be tricked and like, well, I don't know. I don't always see it. But now that I knew kind of what to look for, I did see that sometimes. So, all right, I'll go next on my number 5 here. And this is a guy that is kind of maybe still the presumptive number 2 linebacker for a lot of people, but C.J. Allen out of Georgia is my number 5 linebacker.
He's 5 for me also.
Yeah.
Oh, he's 3 for me. So we were
okay. So we literally just flipped them. Yeah. Cool. All right. So let me just.
That's also good to know, because I thought I was kind of low with my C.J. Allen grade, and It's nice to know that I'm not crazy.
I don't see it as much with him. Like,
He's like a top of the third round linebacker, man.
I have early second on him. So.
Okay, I don't know. I want to let Dalton go first here, actually, because I want to hear like the high end argument for C.J. Allen because I've heard a lot of it, but I want to get it from him because like, kind of like you, Jake. Like I don't hate him at all, but I can't quite get there with him. Yeah. So I want to hear what Dalton has to say.
See, I thought I was low on him because I kept hearing that he's like going to be like a top 20 pick.
Exactly. That's why I'm like, wait a minute.
I've seen him mocked at 21 a lot recently.
Yeah, I mean, we mocked him last week at like 18 or something like that.
Yeah, because I hadn't watched him yet. So I'm like, sure. Yeah,
and also like we thought it'd be. I had watched it, but I just thought it'd be funny. Like if that team, like it just tracked for that team.
It would, yeah.
I forget who, but
was it Dallas at 20?
I think it might have been Dallas.
That would make sense. They would do.
I've seen that a lot too.
Yeah, they would do that.
But I mean, the coverage skills are really, really solid. For like an actual like linebacker, the coverage skills are pretty good. Like he's not a coverage linebacker, like he's an actual true like 3-down linebacker, I think. Great sideline to sideline speed. Hips are good. He's smart. I think when he gets a hit of steam, the power is pretty good to fill. And he's young, he's a true junior. So you kind of hope that maybe he can add a little more mass because at 6'1", 230, he kind of needs to.
That was part of the problem for him.
And I think for him, like, because he's going to struggle to take on bigger linemen against the run. Also, I think that's why he leaves his feet as a tackler. But at the end of the day, I don't think he's a Mike linebacker in the NFL. I think he could be a really, really good will. And I think that's what you need to have him do if you're going to get the most out of him. He needs to be like somebody's like right-hand man at linebacker, I think. I think that's really where he would be at his best, where he can kind of do, instead of having to like actually do run fits, he can just do more of the run and chase things, where I think he's going to be a lot better, and, use his power here and there on blitzes. That's kind of where I think you can use him. I think he's limited in his role, but I do think he has a high ceiling. That's kind of why I have an early second grade on him.
Okay. All right, Jake, let's see if we're similar on this. So ultimately for me, the reason I have him at 5 and not any higher than that, I think the size for his play style is a little bit off-putting, although I do think it's fair to say he could maybe add some weight to him. But at 6'1", I don't know how much more mass you really want to put on him.
It'd be a struggle to get to 240.
Because I already didn't – so that's one of the things. I did not think he was a great athlete. I think he's a good one. I don't view him as like a great athlete for the position. I think he's just a solid athlete overall. Especially like the side-to-side stuff, I wasn't a big fan of him moving laterally. I think in man coverage, he showed some flashes that I thought were interesting for someone who isn't necessarily the most explosive player. But his zone IQ, I feel like, again, being a younger player, just wasn't there for me at times, too. Like, I didn't love what he did as a zone defender. Yeah. And, yeah, Jake's like, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
There were some interesting moments on film with him in zone.
There are some moments on zone where I literally, like, paused it and I was like, what? Like, where are you defending right now?
And yeah, he's a young player. This is one of the reasons. So this is ultimately what my point is he, to me, is literally every developmental third-round linebacker of all time. And that's fine, because if he develops, he's going to be really good, I think, because he has all the requisite skills and physical traits to be a good player. He just doesn't have any, to me, standout ones. And that's the difference between being a developmental second-round linebacker and a third-rounder for me, is the fact that I don't think he necessarily has like a true standout, like physical trait to kind of fall back on. All of them are either good to maybe great at times, especially the power for his size. I do like that's why if he's not going to get much bigger, I'm not that worried about him as a run defender, because I think he already shows enough like power in his hands to like not really have that be a huge issue. I would like it if he's a little bit taller and longer, but like still, point is he'll be fine in that regard. But if he can become a really high IQ player in zone, or he can figure that out, you do have like a full-time starting linebacker, which is awesome. But you might not get it. And if he doesn't have a truly standout trait to maybe do something else well, I kind of felt like I had to put a third rounder on him, even if it's like a high third rounder.
Yeah.
Fair.
Yeah. There are a lot of things he does that I really like. Like he has pretty solid speed for the position. He has good athleticism when it comes to like shedding blocks. Like he's kind of just quicker than linemen sometimes. He has a good pad level. Like I don't really have any issues with his technique. Doesn't miss tackles. I just think I've seen a lot of people talk about his athleticism, and I might be wrong, but I feel like I just didn't really see it on tape. He's not a bad athlete. He's
not to the level
athlete,
that I think it would have to be to talk about him at the second best linebacker.
I would, I don't think I could take him in the first round personally. I don't think the athleticism it didn't seem that great to me, and he also just doesn't have a lot of like pop. If he can get ahead of steam, he can have some power sometimes, but I feel like there's just a lot of times on tape where linemen kind of just absorb him a little bit, and it's just like I don't know how much he's gonna be able to add to his frame, so it's just kind of a concern for me. And then a lot of the mental stuff is also concerning. Like I think against play action, he's really late sometimes to realize that it is play action. I mentioned the zone thing earlier. I don't think he diagnoses the run that fast, which kind of just causes him to get late to things. So I definitely think he can be a successful linebacker in the NFL. Like he does a lot of things really well, and his technique is great. You don't have to worry about him missing tackles. He can shed blocks. His pad level's good, and he is a pretty solid athlete. I just don't see the athleticism as much as I think others do, and that plus some mental lapses, which he is young, so not a huge concern with that. Like that will get better as time goes on. But I don't know, just not a lot of pop. I don't know. I didn't see it on film, but there is a lot to like, and I know a lot of people are higher on him. So I don't want to sound too pessimistic about him because I do like a lot of things he does. But I didn't like him as much as I thought I would.
He's still number 5 for both of us. Like it's not like we have him. Like he's 9. Like 9. Maybe no one should be 9. Maybe we should remove 9 from our rankings just out of respect. Anyway, shout out JJ McCarthy. Anyway,
I think this really kind of shows like the tiers that we have here, because if you notice 3 through, I think we all had I think all of our 4s and 6s at 4 and 6, we all either had Hill or Trotter at 4 and 6.
I had Hill 7, but still in that same tier.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then we all had Allen and Rodriguez at 3 or 5.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, can I go ahead and say that at least I assume all 3 of us have Reese and Styles 2 and 1 in that order?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually,
Lander Barton. Anyway, no offense. I don't know why I picked him out. Anyway, let's do the Reese thing first, because like we knew Styles was coming, but the Reese of it all, Reese's. No, anyway, sorry. Basically, I decided to evaluate him if I thought he was going to be mostly a full-time player at edge first and then linebacker for this episode, right? And it's really weird because like I'm going to say the same thing about Sonny Styles. They just don't make him like this very often, folks. Like this dude is just a freak. And when you're a freak and you are a good football player overall, even though you play a role in college that's just weird and really undefined and kind of hard to figure out fully, when I'm as confident as I am that he's a good football player, I just assume you're going to kind of figure it out. Like maybe that's just not a great way to necessarily do it, but like the ability to come downhill and attack and destroy shit and just wreak havoc in general, like not just from the edge, but like just in general with him, is just awesome. The athlete that he is, it's really hard not to just love everything he brings as a football player. Now, can he cover anyone? Right now, I don't know.
I mean, in college he could, because he's just bigger.
Right, but like, does he know how to cover someone? I'm not 100% sure about that. Do I think, given how just absolutely dominant of an athlete he is and the fact he seems like a smart guy and he knows what he's doing for the most part out there when he has a chance to like be given an actual role, I think he'll be able to figure it out. So if I'm evaluating him just as a linebacker, I think he's an awesome like attacking downhill player who you hope can be some sort of an asset in coverage, whether it's just as a spot dropper or whatever it may be. But he's just going to be an enforcer for you as linebacker. That's what you're hoping to get from him. Like, and I think that's enough to say, like, if he was going to just be a linebacker, to be the number 2 guy in this class, because no one else is built like this. And literally, he's built different. It's different from the other guys we talked about.
Yeah. If you want, you can go first, Jake.
Okay. Yeah. I will say with the athletic stuff, I am a little bit more concerned, I think, than most about just like his like lateral movement. Not that it's bad. I just had a little small concern there, but overall, obviously, a great athlete. Yeah, kind of like Shane said, my real concerns are against the pass. Like, there's a lot of times on film where if he's in zone coverage, he's kind of just like around like a patch of grass and like nobody really there. Like, he doesn't really have great eyes against zone coverage, and I think he's another guy that's kind of a little slow sometimes to diagnose like play action, which will leave his spot open at times. But those really were my only real concerns with him. I mean, when he's coming downhill, it's just like a freak in nature. Like the speed and power that he has.
Scary season, bro.
It's frightening. Yeah, I'd
kind
be
of fucked up actually.
Yeah. No, he has really, really good strength at the point of attack. He kind of just stands linemen up, takes on blocks really well. He does have really good instincts against the run. His long arms help him a lot, and tackles. He doesn't really miss a lot of tackles. Pretty good angles that he takes in pursuit. Yeah, I mean, really, really good player wherever he ends up. I would like to see him, be just a little more confident against the pass, especially in zone coverage. But other than that, I mean, not really many complaints, obviously. I mean, it's just a freak of nature.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. Then you get, I do have a little lower grade on. He's my number 2 off-ball linebacker. If you were a pure off-ball linebacker, I have an early second round grade if he was just doing that. But I think if you draft him and just make him be a pure off-ball linebacker, you should probably lose your job in the NFL. Like, kind of insane. Because I have a top 10 grade on him overall. But as a linebacker, I think the things that Jake, you mentioned with like the quickness, like the lateral quick movement, and also the coverage stuff, I think just at the end of the day, what it comes down to is he looks clunky doing that stuff because he has really zero linebacker instincts. Like, he's just not a linebacker. And the thing is, I don't think it looked that bad. One, because he's a freak athlete. Also, if you watch on tape, Sonny Styles is getting him lined up like every play. Like, Sonny Styles is putting him in position.
Yeah, it's hard for me to like even. I don't know how much of it is like he just hasn't actually played like a position that much.
Yeah,
it's like, do I blame that on him or do I just say he'll probably figure it out because he's a freak?
You can coach it for sure.
Yeah, I don't know.
In my opinion, though, and I said this when we did the Edge episode, he is a pure like 3-4 buck linebacker where he's mostly going to play on the edge, but sometimes you're going to drop him into coverage. Sometimes you're going to loop him inside to blitz up the middle. That's kind of his role. That's kind of be where he's going to be. And I just think if you try to make this talk of him being a pure off-ball linebacker just kind of worries me about limiting his potential because it's at the end of the day, the best thing about him is the speed to power.
Yeah.
And you want that on the edge.
I think the last thing I'll say about him, because I want to make sure to talk about Styles here, because he is our number 1 player at this position. I think if you're going to draft him and say that he's a linebacker, like an actual linebacker, what you do is you play him as one of your linebackers on first and second down, or in non-obvious passing situations, and on third downs when you have to get off the quarterback, you tell the opposing offense, "Good luck blocking this dude now," and setting him off the edge.
Yeah.
Like that's what you do.
Yeah.
Now, do I think that that's how you should use him? Not really. I think it should be more of what Dalton's talking about, is like a primarily a 3-4 like outside linebacker type of edge rusher that also can do other things for you, that can play, some coverage stuff, can attack downhill from a linebacker position if you need him to, opposed to a true edge position. But if you're going to technically have him be an off-ball linebacker, that's how you use him. He's a glorified like hammer on first and second down, and then set him free off the edge and tell a tackle, hey, you've been dealing with our like normal edge rusher for the past like 4 or 5 plays. Now deal with this guy on third down, whatever you need to block this guy to keep the play alive. That's how you would do it. And I honestly think if the Jets take him at 2, that's probably what he'll be used as, is that type of player, which isn't my favorite fit for him, but I think it's one that would work. It would give him time to kind of develop full-time into an edge over time, which I think would help him. But yeah, I wish he kind of just played edge all of last year and we would know. That's kind of what I wish at this point. I'd feel better about it. It's kind of like the whole thing with Abdul Carter. It's like, what if Abdul Carter didn't move to edge full time last year? Like, what would we have thought about him going into the draft? Like, it would have been so much projection. Even if we're like, yeah, dude fucking rocks, we're just going to draft him high anyway, which is what's happening with Reese. I would feel better about it if we got that from Reese this past year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but let's talk about Sonny Styles. Now, Dalton, is this going to be where we hear about?
I have a crazy comp. I'll talk about him if you don't mind. I'll talk about it first, and then I'll get to the comp.
Yes.
So, freak athlete. I mean,
my God,
massive.
You could say that.
What the fuck is wrong?
6'5", 243, and then just absurd speed. But on top of that, like, already has like the linebacker instincts of like an NFL vet, and like really good coverage skills. Sees gaps really well, hard hitter, but then at the end of the day, he's also like a true field general linebacker. Like, he is the quarterback of that Ohio State defense, and like there's just so much like spoiler. He is my number 1 overall player right now. Like, he is number 1 on my big board.
Nice.
He is a freak, and I mean, like the only concern I had was the anchor against the run is okay-ish at the college level. He might need a bit more mass, which definitely has the frame to do so at 6'5".
Yeah.
Well, when you put it that way,
that's the thing, and this is why my comp for him, because of especially as a prospect. And if you don't remember what this guy looked like as a prospect, and you only remember the end of his career, this might sound weird. And this is, to be very clear, this is an irresponsible comp. This is the thing we say you shouldn't do when you make comps. You shouldn't make this lofty. But when you look at the coverage skills and like the kind of skinny athlete for the of the time, almost, especially like relative to the time the other guy played in, it's another guy that wore 54, not Thad Castle. But Brian Urlacher is my comp for Sonny Styles. And
there's a lot of parallels there.
There's a ton. There's a ton of like, especially like when you look at how like people forget Brian Urlacher was kind of like a hybrid safety coming out.
Yeah.
And Styles does a lot of coverage stuff that is similar to Urlacher. Now, Styles is, I think, a much better athlete than Urlacher, but relative to the time, Urlacher was considered a freak athlete as a prospect for the era he played in coming out. Now players are just, the whole league's just bigger, faster, stronger. And I think Styles is still a superior athlete for the time, like for this time. Like, I just think that he's a guy, especially like a couple years into, once he like adds a little mass and like gets in, like really grows in, like it's silly to say it, like once he actually grows into like his grown man body, which he still hasn't done yet because he's only 21. I think he's going to be like this just massive freak force in the middle of defenses. And I think this is the guy that I would take him. I wouldn't. I mean, you can take him as early as you want in this class because I do think he's the one guy that I think is surefire going to be an all-pro.
Yeah.
Like, on a regular basis.
Just a real quick aside. So the Urlacher of it all. So this is his combine measurements. Okay. 6'4", 258 pounds.
Yeah. Now, linebackers just don't look like that anymore.
No, I know. I'm just saying. This is crazy.
Yeah.
6'4", 258, 4'5", 40, 122 broad, 418 shuttle, 27 reps on the bench. Again, is it an irresponsible comp because it's Brian Urlacher? Sure, I get it. But I understand the parallels with their former safety, turn linebacker, which, by the way, the fact that Brian Urlacher was ever a safety at any point in his life.
At New Mexico.
What the fuck is that about?
Now, yeah.
What was New Mexico doing? Were they trying to kill people? Were they
were doing, well, so I looked into it. It was like they were running a 3-3-5 as their base defense, like
as
10 years
defenses like to do.
Yeah. 10 years,
Even
but
back
this
then.
was like 10 years before it was even like popular.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
And
That's
so
funny.
I think so he was technically a safety in that 3-3-5, but really it was a 3-4.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I just, again, so with Styles, it's a little bit tough for me because obviously number one linebacker. I love him a lot, right? I do think in general, this is why I want to be careful with how I say this because I don't disagree with what you said, Dalton, for the most part. I do think in general, like almost every linebacker ever, pretty much, at least in recent memory, I don't necessarily think overall like his zone coverage IQ and some of his diagnostics in the run game are quite like high level right away at the NFL level when he gets in. I think there's certain things he's going to have to get better at from that standpoint for him to be like a truly like 3 down like monster type, like Fred Warner type, right? Because that's the thing. For him to return value on being like a top 5 pick, which is what he very well could be, he'd have to be probably that level of linebacker realistically. I don't know if I'll ever be comfortable saying that that's going to happen because it's just rare. Like, especially like when he's at his best right now, there is a seismic gap between Fred Warner and the next best linebacker in the NFL. Now, that wasn't the case whenever he was first kind of coming up and you're still getting the end of the primes of some other guys. But like right now, to me, at least, I don't think anyone does the 3 down stuff that Warner does. So for him to reach that level would take a lot, even for someone who's as gifted as he is. And I want to just, for people who watch him as rookie, I don't want anyone to be like, if he's not awesome right away, to freak out, basically.
Yeah.
Because the way that people are talking about him, even if it's very fair because of how much of a freak he is, I would not be that shocked if he's not that good of a player as a rookie. I just wouldn't, because it's so hard to play this position. It just is. Yeah. So I want to preface that, but he is going to be one of definitely the 5 best players in this class for me. I'm not sure exactly where he's going to land because I still have players to watch. But I do think he's about as good as you can ask a linebacker prospect to be, and that's why he ends up where he's going to end up in the draft. So, but go ahead, Jake.
Yeah, I kind of get that. I think, just with how young he is, I think he might struggle a little more than I think some people think getting into the league. Just like there are some things against the run where I feel like sometimes he'll kind of get caught with his eyes back there instead of like getting in the correct position. And then like I'd like to see him shed blocks a little better. But I think that is part of the fact that he just kind of needs to grow into his frame, which he will do. So I expect that to get better. I really like long-term wise, like I don't have any concerns. I think it might take him a year or so to kind of adjust a little bit with as young as he is and still needing to, I think, add a little bit of strength. But I mean, to have this much potential and already like be at this level at his age is just so like impressive. Like I get Dalton having him as the number 1 in the class right now. I mean, he is that good. He's a freak athlete. He's really good in coverage. Moves really smoothly. He's got good speed. Closes in quickly. No tackling issues. Like I would like to see him put on a little more strength, but he has really good technique.
Yeah,
he's
I'm
good
not
in the
worried
open
about
field.
him. Yeah, running and chasing and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. So much to like about him. I mean, this defense had some crazy names on it, like Reese, Sonny Styles, Caleb Downs. I mean,
those are 3.
I would have hated
players
to
for a
like.
lot
How
of
do
people
you
right now.
Like break the huddle like as a quarterback and then just look at those 3 on defense? Like that's insane. But yeah, terrific prospect. I think it might take him a little bit to adjust to the NFL level, but once he does, he's going to be a really, really good player.
Right. And again, I don't want to be the guy that's like, hey, hold the phone on this Sonny Styles. I'm not trying to be that guy because I think it's kind of obnoxious for the people that are doing that. But like at the end of the day, like linebacker is one of the most difficult positions to actually stand out at in the NFL,
and we destroy them with hype.
We do, unfortunately. That's why I was saying like guys like CJ Allen, like because he has a lot, and this is even like past what you're talking about, Don, because you're higher on him than us, but still not as high as the general consensus is. Like, there's a lot of people who are like, this is a first-round linebacker. I'm like, if this is a fucking first-round linebacker, we're cooked. What are we talking about?
Yeah.
And like, I don't even dislike him that much, but it's like, for you to be a first-round linebacker, you have to look like Sonny Styles.
I think
like a legit first-round linebacker.
Yeah.
I think the reason why is just there is right now just such a dearth of quality linebackers right now. I mean, we've been watching people like Devin White, Devin Bush, Denzel Perriman running around.
I mean, Devin Bush was actually good last year, which is the sad part.
Yeah.
He was actually legitimately really good, but it took him until he was like 28 or however old he is to be good, because that's what happens to linebackers. They're good when they're 27.
Yeah.
Like, think about Devin Lloyd this past year. He had to get to his last year of his rookie deal, not counting the 5th year because they didn't pick it up. But like he had to get 4 years into his career to then just get paid like decent amount of money compared to the rest of the market. Like,
yeah, that's what happens. It takes like 3-4 years to get good, and then you're in your prime for like 3 years, and then your neck is tissue paper.
It's like running back, it's the same thing as running back, but they're not good right away.
Yeah.
Like,
but their shelf life is not much longer.
That's what I'm saying. It's like you get less. I think, honestly, linebacker might be, on average, less valuable than running back because, at least with running backs, usually when you take a really good one, they're good right away. Like, you don't have to wait for them to learn how to play running back.
That's why so many get picked on day 3. Like, because you just have to, like, you have to have
see what happens. Yeah.
And then figure it out. Yeah, it's a crapshoot. But, yeah, like, it's funny. Like, another example, like, late bloomer linebacker Rolando McClain, like, was just never going to live up to that 7th pick. But, like, then he winds up in Dallas and is like a Pro Bowler. And it's just weird.
Basically, what we're saying is, unless you can find an absolute monster or someone who at least profiles as like a relatively quick contributor, sign other teams' linebackers that they drafted.
Yeah,
that's what you should do. Unless you're Patrick Queen, don't sign Patrick Queen. Don't do that.
No, don't do. Whatever you do, don't give him a 3-year deal.
Yeah, don't do the 3-year deal for Patrick Queen. Don't do it. Anyway, not trying to tie this back to the Steelers, but whatever. Draft the dudes on day 2 and day 3 if they're not special, and then sign someone else's linebacker they already developed for you. Yeah. That's the way to win. So
I'm excited to watch Nakobe Dean in a Raiders uniform this year.
Quay Walker, any takers?
Walker, yeah,
dude, Quay Walker, man.
It's going to be full of Georgia guys. So I'm just going to keep just a bunch of Georgia guys.
Hey, it sort of worked for the Eagles for the most part.
Yeah, it really did.
Yeah, so kind of works out. Other than like Keely Ringo, I guess, who's not good. But anybody remember Keely Ringo?
I do remember Keely Ringo.
What a name!
More like fucking Ringo Starr out here. What are we talking about? Anyway,
Ringo Starr was actually talented.
Well, but do you think about him?
No.
Well, see, there we go. That's Ringo's probably talented, just not good. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, we're that'll do it for the linebacker show. We will do corners next week. We're gonna get through safeties then after that, and then we'll have a couple shows available to us to get things finalized. Might try to do some extra things here and there if we all have time. I know that we have the Epic Month coming up soon, which I need to remind myself of when it is so I don't accidentally forget to do that. That would be bad.
10th.
Right, so
that weekend, yeah.
Did I put it in my calendar, guys? Let's take bets here.
Yeah. I need to let my wife know that I'm going to be doing that. I should probably.
That's probably a good idea for those who have lives. I don't have it in my calendar, so therefore I will do it after the show because I will probably forget because every day is a different horror.
I think it's the 9th. I think it's the 9th, 10th, and 11th.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, it's Thursday night, Friday night, and then Saturday morning.
Gotcha.
We will at least be streaming, I think, Thursday and Friday is the plan.
Yeah.
And you might see some combination of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At those times.
It'll probably be me all the time because what else will I do? I'm just kidding. That sounds.
I think I'm listed on the thing as the GM, so I'll be available just because I got to take calls and stuff. And
I want you to get on the phone with a person. That's what I want.
And mostly just do Twitter DMs.
But that's what it always is. Yeah.
But we got to figure out if we're gonna make any moves.
So, real quick as a spoiler, my plan is, and you guys obviously shouldn't say can, but will hopefully participate in this. I was going to build out a kind of mini Chargers board.
Yeah.
And I think we should definitely try to do that so we at least are not completely flying blind potentially at different times because I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, because we're trying. This is the idea. We're trying to replicate what the Chargers will actually do, right? That's the point of this. So we're trying to try to match up with what we think they would do.
Yeah, and also just try to give it's some of our board plus try to give the Chargers a good draft, but also what makes sense for them.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. So, because that will impact it a little bit, obviously. We already made the joke of we know if there's one guy, if he's on the board, he's the pick. Yeah. But probably not going to be, honestly. Seems because I don't know if he will be in real life either. So, we'll get there though. That should be fun. Definitely look out for that. Plenty of stuff still coming down the pike. So, but we will see you guys next time, and thank you for joining our final actual getting it done linebacker.